Clint Watts, from your experience, we don't know exactly how this arrest went down, but they clearly had a flatbed truck ready. This looks like a very precise FBI investigation.
I imagine they plotted this out, and not to say that they do this a lot, but it's pretty textbook about how they go and try and apprehend people in these sorts of circumstances. You can look back to other cases. There was Kevin Harfum, who is a domestic extremism out and planted a bomb out of the Martin Luther King parade in Spokane, Washington. They've gone through this drill before, and even if you remember the D.C. snipers, they intercepted them off a highway at one point using a very similar technique, in a sense, a planned raid to try and get the person and apprehend them peacefully. I think the other thing that we can look at is this shows the value of forensic evidence. What has been an opportunity and what is an awful situation is the bombs did not detonate, so that leaves lots of human forensics that are out there. And even yesterday, I think most people assumed that this would happen, if not today, by the end of the weekend, which was you have a lot of signatures, both in terms of the mail system. You have a lot of human forensics. You've got a very clear target list that aligns in a very logical way based on the motives potentially of the bomber. And so I'm not surprised that they closed on this very quickly. I think some things to think about is why could we do this so quickly, as a country? If people remember back to the anthrax case, this was one of those times where we started developing out a way to track packages through the mail system. And I have a feeling all of that investment during the counterterrorism years as well has really paid off today to where the FBI, these task forces can quickly descend and run this down before we see even more bombs potentially hitting the mail or being delivered places. Comparing it to the Austin bombings, earlier this year was a little bit more complex and much more dangerous situation.
And to that point, on 52nd Street in New York, outside that postal facility earlier today, the deputy for counterterrorism in New York from the NYPD, John Miller, did a shout out to the 600,000 postal workers who are on the front line here. Jim Cavanaugh, formerly with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, who's dealt with a lot of these bomb investigations in the past. These postal workers have been trained to spot things. One of the devices was spotted by a postal worker at that facility today, and they have been more at risk than anyone else because a lot of these packages were going to be intercepted by law enforcement officials for those who have Secret Service security, but others were just, and in fact all of them went through the mail system. Jim?
Yeah, the Postal Service, Andrea, just great. Every last employee on the lookout for this, and of course their law enforcement arm, the Postal Inspection Service, just absolutely great. Just like to throw up some key points for you here. I've written many of these criminal complaints on bombers. I can tell you how those developed, how to write them.
Please,
I can tell you what likely happened. Yeah, I can tell you what likely happened here as well. I think once the lead went to South Florida, it wouldn't be unusual for the task force to get a tip on a guy like this who's driving down the street with the president's face and all these right-wing bumper stickers on his van. This is a guy you'd get a tip on, and you would have his name. And of course, the lab would be working to develop fingerprints and DNA. Well, I can tell you on 10 unexploded bombs, and I've worked on many, many of these bombs, that's going to be a fingerprint party under the tape. There's going to be so many fingerprints that they can lift, plus hair and DNA. Well, once you have a name of someone, you have fingerprints and DNA, and the person you have the name of, whether you got it from a tip, a cell tower intercept, a surveillance of a post office, and he has a criminal record with fingerprint arrest with fingerprints, it's pretty academic. You check that arrest, you get the fingerprints. I mean, we literally have sat on the trunk of cars with the fingerprint card and the latent lift and looked through the loop and get the fingerprint examiner to say, that's the same guy. And that's likely what we're going to see in this criminal complaint, because that's the way we would write them. We get right down to the brass tacks. This guy's fingerprint was found underneath the tape on a bomb that was mailed to Joe Biden or Maxine Waters or something. And based on that evidence, I want a warrant, Judge, for this guy for sending all these identical packages. Or in fact, we match the fingerprint on 7 of the packages or whatever. So they're going to get down to basics. They don't want to get into the affidavit, to all this great, superfluous stuff, because what you're trying to get for the magistrate judge, the federal magistrate judge, is to say, yes, you have probable cause to believe that this man is responsible for the bomb. And then we get into the grand jury process after that, where the charges can be changed. Most likely charges, I can tell you how we would do this, is we would charge possession and manufacture of destructive devices, which is basically the ATF law, the law that ATF enforces. And we would say that because it's simpler and easier to say that. He was in possession and he manufactured the bombs. Simple, federal. Here's his fingerprint, keep it straight. Now, they could add in weapons of mass destruction. They could add in other charges or use other charges. But we try to be simple in the complaint normally because we're trying to hold them. We're trying to prove probable cause. And that's what we're going to see here. I think it's great work by FBI, ATF, Postal Service, all the postal employees, NYPD, the Plantation Police, all of Miami-Dade. I mean, every single agency in Maryland.
Jim.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.